Hey, in this video I'm going to be showing you the 10 most valuable items I have in my studio for workflow, for getting the sounds that I want quick, and none of them are going to be expensive synthesizers or outboard gear or anything like that. Everything in this list is below $500, some of it is well below $50, and my point or my goal here is to share with you some of the devices and tools that I found have made a huge difference to how quickly I can capture ideas, how accurate I can be in the way that my things groove and swing together, and generally how easy I am able to get mixes that translate well. So let's dive right in, and the first thing I want to show you, which may surprise you, but which is a huge workflow hack, is this lowly mouse right here. And this mouse is a bit special because it's kind of a very coveted model that's no longer made. Used prices for these are insane. But the cool thing about this trackball is that besides having a right and left click, it has a double click and undo. And that is huge because when I'm mixing in Ableton or any other DAW, after I do a mix change, I can just hit undo and listen to it A-B and know if what I've done is actually an improvement or not. And what I can really recommend is to try a trackball similar to this. And I found one on Amazon by a company called Zanva. I just ordered one actually to test it out, and I'll put in the comment how well it stacks up, but I've read from a lot of people now that this one is a really good clone of this. It's $43, and yeah, I'm very curious to check this out. You can get it either cabled or with Bluetooth, but for a trackball I think cabled is the way to go. So I'll let you know how it goes with that, but yeah, huge workflow hack. The other one that I wanted to share with you is sitting on my desk here pretty close to it, and it's this Trackpad, which yes, you can also get to work with PC. And the reason why this is such a huge hack is because when I'm in Ableton, I'm able to use the mouse to do whatever it is that I want to do, but I can get around Ableton with the trackpad and just just move around the arrangement or the mixer super quick without having to go up to these annoying, now non-existent scroll parts of the arrangement. And if you use Ableton, you know that that's actually a thing that takes a ton of time. Same if you're going into some kind of a longer clip. Basically, you can go in here and scroll through the clip super fast. Let me just zoom in here a bit so I can show you that. So having two control devices on your desk that you can interface with your software with, I wouldn't say it doubles your productivity, but it makes a huge difference. So I can totally recommend that. And yes, you can get these things to work on PC. I've had it working before. You can get these, I got mine used, it was like less than $100. The other thing that I would recommend to you is hiding in the back here, but that doesn't mean that it's any less important. It's this Multiclock. If you work with external devices, if you only work in the box, then you don't need this at all. But if you're recording drum machines or synthesizers, sending them MIDI clock for arpeggio or anything like that, having this being able to tune things in time by rotary encoders is huge, and it'll give you a much tighter groove and feel to your tracks because you'll be able to record everything in much tighter. And actually working with this device has made me much more sensitive to micro timing. I'm sure some people will disagree, but I feel I can hear down well below 10 milliseconds now of timing accuracy, especially on drums. So yeah, the Multiclock, now made by a company called Floatingpoint Instruments, that follows it up. It's still available. It is a bit more on the expensive side. It's a little over 500 US right now. I'll link it also below, but worth its weight in gold to actually get super accurate tight timing into your instruments and drum computers. And in my case, what I also use it for is to send MIDI clock to this Beatstep Pro that is sitting over here. And this is a fantastic machine to do drums or monophonic synth lines with. That's what I use it for. I have two monophonic synths connected here via CV, and this is connected via MIDI to the DAW and sending to my drum computers. And being able to see where you're placing your triggers per pad is huge. Arturia did a fantastic job here of splitting that up into two rows, your step sequencer and then the notes that you're putting in there. Many people agree, actually. I saw on Ben Jordan's channel also that he spoke very highly of this. I can totally recommend using this if you have trouble getting funky bass lines or just to get drums and bass ideas in super quickly. And I'm clocking it off the Multiclock with with a MIDI, which means that I'm able to get it to be really tight and groove fantastic also with the track. These are again used, I got it under 200. I think usually you can get it for like 150 bucks if you look around. Next to it is another sequencer that I want to show you. Again, it's being clocked off the Multiclock, and it's the Torso T1. This is quite a recent addition that I got, and I am super happy for it. It's opened up all kinds of new harmonic and melodic areas in my music productions, because it has certain scales and stuff built in that I apparently have not used much before. It just has given me a whole bunch of really cool new ideas and directions to go into. It's very intuitive to use. I've seen people actually running their entire session, so there's 16 parts. I just use it for arps and melodies and harmonies and progressions like that, and just for that already it's worth it. It is a bit more on the expensive side. I paid about 400 for mine used. And yeah, by the way, none of these companies are sponsoring this content in any way. This is just my honest opinion on some devices that I think are super, super useful to have in the studio. Now, the next thing that I want to chat with you about is my trilogy of controllers that you can see on the desktop here. And you can definitely do a lot of this with just one of them, but what I've come to now here, I think, is a really, really fantastic combination. So I have the APC. You can get these used, if you're lucky, for about 250, 300 euros. Here's hoping Akai makes a new one of these soon. But you can also replace this with an APC Mini if you have to. And obviously having clip launching functionality, faders, and a bunch of rotary encoders is fantastic. Mine is all hard-coded to specific channels on my template. So I know my kick and my bass and my snare are always on these first three faders. Then is all the major melodic and harmonic elements of the track. Here is some drums and percussions, toms. And then over here is something new that I've done. We'll get to that in just a sec with the Launchpad. But yeah, basically with these two controllers here, I'm able to control 16, 17 tracks in my setup, and I'm able to basically interface with my music in real time, build sequences in real time. Let me show you quickly what that sounds like. So yeah, super easy way to interact with my music and to just get a vibe going. I produce with this workflow also, and because it's all hard-coded to my template, I always know exactly where I am, and I'm able to basically control a whole track just with these two devices. They share CCs when they're delivered from the factory, but I have a file available, and actually I have a whole video about setting these up on my channel that I'll link here, so that you can use them in conjunction without CC values being available on both devices, which means that two knobs would control one parameter in Ableton. A new thing that I've done now is actually added in this little Launchpad Mini Mark III, and I'm always looking to optimize my production workflow because I just unfortunately don't have as much time for music as I would like. Running a company, being a dad, being a husband, all these kinds of things just take their toll, as I'm sure all of you also know, on the amount of time that you have available. And what I realized I struggle with is having the crashes and risers and maybe some shakers and top loops when I'm starting a track or when I'm finishing a track, looking for crashes and risers and fallers and transition sounds and ear candy. It just takes a massive amount of time and I find it really boring. So what I did is I created myself a library basically of like 30 of each. So these tracks that you see in the green box here, they're basically risers, impacts, fallers, hi-hat loops, snare loops, breakbeat loops, shakers, rides, etc., etc. And I have a whole selection. I'm still working on filling this out, but I already have a big enough selection now that if I'm working on a track, I can very quickly find some sounds that I like, and use those for a specific track, and yeah, like get those basics in really quickly and have a dedicated control surface that's just for those kinds of sounds. And yeah, it's been really amazing to work this way. So having this combination of let's call it dynamic launch buttons that you can use to play through your live set or produce with a whole bunch of faders and rotary encoders, and then a dedicated Launchpad that just kind of launches similar kinds of sounds when you need them. So I know when there's a crash needed, I can launch it 4 beats in advance and it'll come right in where I need it. It's pre-mixed, it already fits perfectly, makes things way fast. So yeah, really nice. And controllers like this, you can get 300, this under 100, this also under 100. So huge impact, and I can absolutely recommend that you get your head around working with controllers. And I would always set them up dedicated like this, because if it's all dynamic and everything's always changing, how are you going to get your head around that? I know for me that's not really viable. Okay, let's see, what am I missing? What else can I show you here? I'll link below to this stuff, below this video. I had some affiliate links at some point on Tomo, but honestly, I haven't kept track of them. I have no idea where they are anymore, so I'm just gonna use some normal links. But yeah, you can go there just to make it easier for you to find this stuff if you're interested. Okay, another thing I wanna show you, which is probably something where you're gonna be like, huh? Is this TV screen. And hear me out on this. This is a 4K slightly curved TV from Samsung. As you can see, the picture quality and the letters on it are super sharp, which is sometimes a problem with using TVs. I'm going to link this model number because certain TVs have a way of handling computer signals where it just works really well, others don't. And this one is a good one, and you can get a 4K massive display like this. I think this is like 40 inches for, I think I paid 200 euros for it. Here we go. So way cheaper than an equivalent computer monitor. And one thing that I will never understand is why people use super wide gaming monitors for music production, because not only are you missing a massive amount of screen real estate where you can have way more information visible, and especially if you're using a looping workflow, it's nice to be able to see what's coming up. But using a super wide monitor like that means that your speakers will be way too far apart because this monitor is in between, right? Which means your phantom mono signal will be very difficult to judge because basically your speakers are too far apart. You know this thing about the equidistant triangle? Good luck doing that and still being able to recognize anything on your screen if your speakers are like 1.40 meters apart or 1.30 meters apart. Mine are roughly a meter. I'm sitting about a meter away from the screen, and this works perfectly. So yeah, slightly curved in my case, which actually turned out to be really nice. I do everything I do here. Over here is just a signal analyzer most of the time. Here is OBS when I'm doing stuff, or maybe sometimes some plugins go up there. But basically, because this TV is so high resolution and so big, I'm able to keep my whole session in view, and I never have to switch between screens, which is really nice from an ergonomic point of view. Okay, the next thing I want to show you, and this is a little bit of audio gear, and it is not super cheap, but it is worth every penny, is Slate VSX headphones. And I am not affiliated with Slate. I have worked for them in the past many years ago, demoing products of theirs in music stores, but at this moment I have no affiliation and I have never received any kind of payment from them. I have a couple of NFRs from them, that's it. But I am sharing this with you because I think this tool is so incredible. In all my years in the industry and having worked in multiple music stores where I had access to pretty much anything, I've never had a system before that translated this accurately. So if you're having trouble still getting your mixes to translate well, that will absolutely solve that problem in combination with two rooms that I'm going to show you now for electronic music. So you can get basically, you can get the full big platinum version if you can swing it, because you'll get a whole bunch of cool rooms in the future, but you don't really absolutely need it, I would say. If you're on a budget, I would recommend you to get the Essentials version, which is down here, which is $2.99 on the Slate website. And then I would recommend you to get a couple of additional rooms, which is what you can monitor in then. And absolutely essential to begin with is the MIDIMix expansion, which is a room that just has a lot of bass and very clean low end, so you can really judge kicks and basses against each other really well. These big speakers here modeled in the headphones sound amazing. You have NS10s in there, which are fantastic for checking vocal levels and snare levels, seeing if hi-hats are not too piercing. So this room, I think, is a total must-have. I use that a lot. Usually while I'm producing, that's what I monitor in. And then my final check, where if it sounds right there, it'll be good, is the Howie Weinberg room. And few things people agree on gear slots, but people agree, gear space, excusez-moi, people agree this room is the final test for many, many people on that forum, because it kind of sounds weird, but it sounds, if it sounds good there, it'll sound amazing anywhere. So if you have those two rooms, you are absolutely set, I would say. If you want to treat yourself to another room that's nice to work on, this Arkan Studio is nice, and maybe having a cell phone compatibility check, I guess. I don't know, if you're doing pop music that needs to sound good on a crappy cell phone speaker, could be useful. But yeah, if I have Howie Weinberg and the MIDIMix room, I'm set. So something I can totally recommend. And yeah, the VSX headphone system translates ridiculously well for the price. Way better than like $1,000 pair of speakers would get you in an untreated or semi-treated room. I have really nice Amphion speakers here that translate fantastic well. I'm going to do a video on them one day. They're pretty expensive, and even though I have quite a lot of acoustic treatment in this room, I would never send a mix to mastering or upload a mix to release without running it through VSX first, because that's how much I trust the conversion of it. So what else can I show you? Did I want to show you? Oh, this is a plugin that is a must-have and super affordable. You can see it right here. I just brought it up with a nice undocumented key shortcut, which is Control Option P. For some reason, I've never seen anyone use that, but Control Option P on a Mac will bring up any third-party plugins of the channel that you have selected. And on this channel, you can see on my master output, I have ADPTR, which is just a must-have tool. It goes on sale super often for like 29 bucks. And what you can do is you can load in a reference track, which in this case is Orange, and see your track in production against it. And especially if you're mixing through a mastering chain already, as I recommend people to do, you can see exactly how your mix lines up with your reference track. So I'm using a reference track here that was professionally mastered, so I know it sounds well, it has no issues. And if I bring in this track full blast, let me do that now, I can see exactly how its frequency plot, loudness, dynamics, everything matches against that reference track. Let me show you. I have a little shortcut set up for myself here where my crossfader on the APC is set to only control the AB function of ADPTR. So if I want to AB reference my track, I just move the crossfader here. Let me show you. I detail all this kind of setup stuff in one of the videos where I show you how I've set up all these controllers to get this kind of a workflow going. I'll link it also. But yeah, these are just like some little hacks and some little tools that will make a huge impact on how good your mixes sound and how easy it is to get a competitively loud mix where you know there's no issues with it. If you load a WAV file of a good track that you like as a reference in ADPTR and you check your mix against it and the dynamics are in the ballpark and the spectrum layered overlay is in the same ballpark, you can be pretty sure that you're not going to have issues with that track and it's going to sound good on any system. Best way I found to reference stuff, took me ages to get to somehow, but yeah, can totally recommend this tool. And yeah, then the last thing I want to show you, and please excuse if this is a little plug, but you can totally build this yourself also, but I want to just show you the power of working in a template, which is the reason why I'm able to get my track ideas down super fast and be able to actually produce tracks super quickly. I have a series on my channel where I do a track sketch in an hour. This is my live set, which is based off of my Infinity bundle that we sell on rapidflow.shop. We also have a smaller version, which is just the RapidFlow template, if you just want to fill it with your own samples. But this comes fully preloaded already with all kinds of really nice bass synthesizers, kick drums, snares, hi-hats, shakers, toms. Am I forgetting anything? Yeah, and a bunch of different bass synths. There's like Sem droning bass, short percussive basses sampled from Roland clones, you name it. And all of it was captured using this outboard gear and all these juicy synthesizers that you see out here, as well as this tape machine, Prism Orpheus converters, you name it. You basically get the sound of my studio pre-mixed into a template that's really fast and with which you can do live performance effects. It has a mastering chain. It has everything you need in there, really. So yeah, that is it from me today. I hope you have a fantastic and inspired time in the studio, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take it easy. Bye-bye.